What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I've got a pretty decent news article for you guys today. Check this out right quick. Court sides with state over Pennsylvania county's handling of voting machines after the 2020 election. Oh yeah, so we're going back another 4, almost 5 years at this point to 2020 election. Oh my God, what are we even talking about here? Let's get into this thing because we got a lot to discuss, y'all. Check this out. A Pennsylvania court on Tuesday ruled 6-1 that the Secretary of State has the authority to direct counties not to allow unauthorized third-party access to voting machines or risk having those machines decertified and unable to be deployed for elections. The Commonwealth Court said the Department of State does not have to reimburse counties when they decertify machines, a defeat for Fulton County in a dispute that arose after 2 Republican county commissioners permitted Wake Technology Services Incorporated to examine and obtain data from Dominion voting machines in 2021. So this was 2 Republicans that decided there was some fraud here. We're going to go and look into these machines, but hang on, we're going to get third party to come in, an independent person to come in and verify to see if these machines were tampered with, if there was vote flipping, if there was any kind of fraud going on with these machines. We're going to have a third party come in. Now, get this, right? Now, so I'm going to lay that out. That's the impetus for this, right? Now, I remember some of these. There was a lot of these. And you guys remember the Dominion voting machine thing and that whole thing that blew over, and courts were weak and ineffective on this topic. They refused to look at evidence when there was evidence brought, right? They turned Trump brought many cases. There was like 90-something cases, right? 60-something of them got turned down on standing, right? Which means pretty much that Trump was not party to damages, right? In other words, it would have had to have been the person that was defrauded that voted that would have had to bring the court case. I had a twist of words there for a second. Sorry about that, y'all. But basically, it would have had to have been the specific voters to bring that case, not Trump. Which is, what? Like, are you freaking kidding me? But that's pretty much what that meant. Trump couldn't bring those cases. They would have to be brought by the county commissioners, somebody other than Trump. Right? Somebody that was directly affected by the fraud, in other words. So a lot of them were turned down upon standing. You know what? Well, the corporate press took that information and they said, well, the courts looked at the evidence and decided that there's no evidence. And that's what they told everybody. There was no widespread evidence of voter fraud, which was an outright lie. Right now, after going over all this crap, now I will say there wasn't enough to overturn the election. But as you guys know, we've already went over that. We already know why Donald Trump lost in 2020. If you're new around here and don't know that, hit that like button, by the way, and subscribe. Right here after the video, there's going to be a link right at the bottom. It's talking about the shadow campaign, how the Democrats stole the 2020 election. I break everything down right there if you want to know exactly why and how Democrats won in 2020 and exactly what they did, because, oh crap, it was underhanded as hell, right? Go check that video out. It's highly informative. I suggest everybody check that video out. That's why it's always right here at the end of every single video. Yeah, I go out of my way to make sure it's right there at the end of every single video. But let's keep going. That led the state elections agency to issue a directive against such third-party access based on concerns it could compromise security. So now we're getting the argument in the other direction. Now they're trying to say having a third-party independent come in to verify, to make sure the machines are still secure, would compromise security. Okay, sure. Fulton's machines were decertified as a result of the Wake TSI examination, and the Secretary of State was sued by the county as well as Republican County Commissioners Randy Bluntsch and Stuart Olsch. I'm not sure how that's pronounced, but that name will come up again, I'm sure. Fulton had argued it had broad authority over the voting machines, while the Secretary of State said that would mean that every county board of elections can do whatever it wants with electronic voting systems under their authority to inspect elections. An absurd and unreasonable result, wrote Judge Renee Cohn. Jubileer? Something like that, for the majority. Now, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I don't wholeheartedly totally agree with that, right? Like, I think they should have a little bit of bilateral work with securing elections, because these are the people that are on the ground in these counties, right? The state board doesn't have that widespread of authority, well, not authority, but ability to get out there and check to make sure all these voting machines are fine. They have state inspectors and all this stuff, but when you have the counties, they have people that are on the ground constantly right there looking at the machines, watching what's going on, and blah 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 blah. You get it. I think that should be like a bilateral partnership, right? They should have like co-equal authority over securing these machines, if you will. But that's just my opinion. She said a 1937 state election law gave county election boards broad power, but state lawmakers amended it to give the secretary an important role in ensuring statewide consistency and safety regarding electronic voting systems. The state and local power balance over elections and voting equipment, the majority said, helps protect and provide for free and fair and secure elections. Now, this is the reason why I covered this specific article, and the reason why I pointed to look here after the video, at the end of this video, check this video out for what I just read out. You notice it was amended. A 1937 law gave broad immunity, pretty much not immunity, but broad power to the county election officials to secure the machines or whatever. The law was changed. Guess when that law was changed? That's right, 2020, right before the election, giving the state attorney, the attorney general, the state election board, in other words, broad power over those over the machines, over all this. So this is one of the results of the shadow campaign, y'all. It's absurd. Like, there was a lot of this, and this is what I was talking about in that video. If you watch that video, and I just talked broadly about, oh, they went state to state, changing rules and changing laws. It was laws like this that were changed that gave Democrats a leg up in the 2020 election. It's insane, absurd, some of the stuff that was done. There is no conflict between those provisions, and it's entirely possible, indeed necessary, for a county board of elections to fulfill their powers and duties while heeding the secretary's report and directives, Jubileer wrote for the majority. The Department of State issued a statement saying it was pleased with the decision that the administration of Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro is committed to ensuring the free and secure administration of elections, and today's decision recognizes that the Secretary is empowered to keep voting systems secure from unauthorized third parties seeking to undermine confidence in Pennsylvania's elections. So this is the narrative, folks, and this is how they get that over on you. That sounds like a generalized statement coming from a politician, doesn't it? But hang on, why would they even need to say that? Okay, so like I explained out in the beginning, these county state election officials, the county election officials, sorry, I get state and county mixed up all the time, but these county election officials saw some funny business going on, right? So what did they do? They hired a third-party independent company to come in and audit the voting machines. Right? That's what you would want, right? Then you have inspectors, Republicans and Democrats alike, both come in and watch the inspection. You both get the results, and hey, let's see what happens. But what they're trying to say is that the third party coming in was because of the Republicans wanted to do some underhanded stuff. Now, this draws back on conspiracies in my conspiracy checklist, if you will. That's what we'll call it, a conspiracy checklist, right? right? Now, I have a conspiracy theory about conspiracy theories. I'm not huge on conspiracy theories, right? Because, the way I put it is, the more people you get involved in any conspiracy, the more likely that conspiracy is to fail, or, information about that conspiracy to be leaked to the wider public. So in situations like this, right, the local county officials calling in independent outside experts, that to me seems more legitimate than one guy at the top saying, no, you can't do this. We will ensure you have free and fair elections. Hang on. Wait just a second. Now, for me, that brings it back to, okay, you got one guy over here calling the shots versus you got some people at the local level, right? 2 Republicans, and you got all these other election officials in these other counties calling in a third party to inspect the machines. Now, let me know down in the comments section, which do you trust? Because it brings it back to my little checklist. If you call in outside third-party assistance, they're not going to be in on the conspiracy. Where, on the other hand, you got this one top guy. He could say, hey, we want it like this, and that's it. What are you going to do at that point? Now, I know this goes a lot deeper than that, but that's just how I feel. I think that these 2 guys, and it's not just because they're Republicans. That's not it. And it's not because the state election officials are Democrats. That is not it. That is just a basis for how I view conspiracies here. I always look at whenever you have these conspiracies, right? How many people are involved? How deep does it go? Blah, 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 blah. Whether I buy into that conspiracy or not. That's why I think flat Earth, even though, there's a lot of people out there who have some very compelling evidence and arguments, right? I'm not convinced, because it would honestly take millions of people to be able to pull the wool over everybody's eyes, right? Where, on the other hand, no, it doesn't work that way. All our observations say the Earth is round. You know what I'm saying? But, with something like this, you got the Democrats in 2020 and the conspiracy of the shadow campaign. That wasn't a whole hell of a lot of people involved in that, to be honest with you. It was a group of lawyers going state to state to state to advocate and to get these laws changed. And Democrats, they're going to be open arms with the other Democrats. So, that is what it is. Now, that conspiracy does involve quite a few people, but not nearly as many people as, say, widespread fraud. That's why I don't buy into that narrative, the fraud. And now, there's always fraud in every single election. Always fraud. But let's keep going. Because I've gotten off the path here. The Fulton County Board, through Chief Clerk Stacy Shives, declined comment about the decision. Messages seeking comment were left Tuesday. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? The officials in Fulton, a 15,000 population county in rural central Pennsylvania, brought in Wake TSI and allowed another outside inspection as part of an effort to find the sort of election fraud that then President Donald Trump falsely claimed existed after his 2020 re-election loss. Fulton heavily supported Trump in all 3 of his presidential campaigns. Olsh is no longer an election county commissioner. Fulton replaced the voting machines, which were impounded by the court during the dispute over others to access them. That just so happens to be quite convenient, if you ask me. These guys wanted a third party to come in to inspect the machines. The state officials overrode that and said, no, we're impounding these. So now nobody gets to figure out if there was election fraud, right? And this is another thing that I talk about, why you can't ever know how much fraud there is in an election, right? Stuff like this just gets brushed right over, right? This story originally did not go nationwide. I didn't know about this until recently, as a matter of fact, today when I saw this and I went and looked up the original lawsuit. Yeah, it's crazy, y'all. It's crazy. But this just blows my mind once again. These people coming in and they think we're going to side with them. They had to throw out there the Trump's false claims of election fraud, right? Now, to me, that looks quite dubious, if you ask me, right? These guys coming in like it's a highly Republican, it's a rural county in Pennsylvania that voted for Trump the first time, and now all of a sudden it's going for Biden. Hang on just a second. Hey, let's inspect these machines. And then they get an inspector to come in, and the state comes in and impounds the machines and says, no, you can't do that. What? Like, and you think we're just going to look right past this? You think we're not going to be a little suspicious? I mean, that is completely and utterly sus, if you ask me. Just suspect as hell. It just doesn't make any sense to me how Democrats think they can just pull the wool over our eyes, and then they'll have the corporate press to come in and back them up, right? Any just average Joe reading this news article might just brush over this and be like, oh, it looks like Republicans were trying to cheat the election. They wanted to flip votes or something like that so Trump could win. No, they were looking for fraud. Yeah, that is what you do. That's what election officials are supposed to be for, to ensure that there is no fraud, to ensure that we do have free and fair elections, to ensure that we have the freest and fairest elections ever, right? Remember that, y'all. That was the most free and fair election in United States history. And there were so many open doors. And we had so many just conspiracies going on. Just craziness, y'all. But I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. Blows my mind every time, all this evidence keeps... That just ensures to me that the shadow campaign was real. As a matter of fact, I already believed it, but this is just more evidence to kind of prove, my theory on this, the shadow campaign theory or whatever, that, Democrats are underhanded, going around state to state, changing rules, changing laws to give Democrats a leg up, right? I mean, that would give Democrats a leg up. Well, right, because you can't ensure that, because you got Republican counties and Democrat counties, and hey, hang on, we got some weird stuff going on in this Republican county. Well, they call in a third party to inspect the machines, and the state comes in and says, nope, you can't do that, buddy. And as a matter of fact, we're going to impound those machines so nobody can ever check to see if those machines were flipped. It just blows my mind. Now, I will say, I'm not saying that any votes were flipped or anything like that. Not saying that whatsoever, because we don't know. We have no idea, right? Because we will never know, because they impounded the freaking machines and sued the county officials, and they're no longer working there. Surprise, surprise, right? But y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.